Hello! Today I'm going to be showing you how to make an easy pork chop potato casserole. This is one of my father's recipes that he has been making since actually he retired, and he prides himself in making this dish. So this one's for you, Dad. The ingredients that you will need are olive oil, an olive oil spray, a 16-ounce bag of shredded cheese, and I am using Colby Jack cheese today, and 2 sliced and diced Vidalia onions, 3 cans of your favorite soup. It can be mushroom soup. Today I'm using celery soup. Bone-in pork chops, and today I am using 7 pork chops. And I have 8 cups of pre-sliced potatoes that I have sliced and kept in the refrigerator overnight, soaking in water. And the spices that I'm using today are a half a teaspoon of ground pepper, a half a teaspoon of sea salt, and 1 tablespoon of garlic powder. And then also I'm using an additional tablespoon of garlic powder. So let's get cooking. The first step in making our pork chop casserole will be to add at least 4 tablespoons of oil into the bottom of your skillets. And today I am using skillets that were handed down to me from my mother's mother, my grandmother, and also Tim's grandmother. So we will be searing the pork chops on either side before we place them into the bottom of a casserole dish that I will be spraying with olive oil. And while I am searing the pork chops, I have already turned a pan of water on to high, because we will be parboiling our potatoes just to make a quicker cook time for you for the pork chop casserole. So let's get started with searing our pork chops, and I'll let you see how I do that, and I will transfer them to the bottom of 2 casserole dishes. So I'm only putting 1 pork chop in at a time, and I am going to turn the skillet down. And I'm going ahead and pouring my oil into my second skillet, and I'm preheating that to medium-high. And I'm going to let this sear on both sides before I transfer the pork chops to the casserole dish. I am turning my pork chop over, and I'm just hand searing the pork chops for now. And I wanted to go ahead and show you that I am using a rather large casserole dish, and I'm going to try to fit at least 4 pork chops in the bottom of this dish, or approximately 5. And I do have 2 casserole dishes that I will be using today. And I'm going to go ahead and spray the casserole dish with olive oil. Okay, so I just sprayed the bottom of my casserole dish. And so I'm going to go ahead and move things to the side so you can see exactly how I am going to place my pork chop in the bottom. And I just wanted to show you that the pork chops are just slightly browned. And I'm just going to try to arrange the pork chops so that they are evenly distributed into my casserole, because I am going to be layering potatoes on top of the casserole. So I'm putting another pork chop in, and what I will be doing after I sear the pork chops, I'll be sprinkling garlic powder on top of all the pork chops before I actually start layering the potatoes. I wanted to let you know that our water is ready for our potatoes. So I'm going to gently place the potatoes into the water, and I'm going to let them cook in the water for about 5 minutes. And I am using red potatoes, and I have sliced the potatoes about 1/4 inch thick. And again, I've got enough potatoes to make 2 casseroles, and I'm just going to go ahead and let those simmer for about 5 minutes again, and then we're going to drain the potatoes and we will begin layering our casserole. And this goes really quick, and then you just pop it into an oven that has been preheated for 400 degrees, and you will let it cook for 1 hour with tin foil covering the casserole. I just wanted to let you know the potatoes are done, and I'm getting ready to transfer them into a colander and drain them, and then we will begin putting our casserole together. We are ready to put our casserole together. So the first thing that you will see me do is sprinkle the garlic powder over the top of our pork chops. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I have enough garlic powder for each pork chop, just to give it a little bit of extra flavor. So I know I have told my audience before that my family love garlic, so we are a garlic family. So the next thing that you will see me do is I'm going to go ahead and spoon potatoes onto the top of our pork chops. And again, this is a very simple but hearty meal that my dad loves to make, and it's a very quick meal. And I took a couple of shortcuts by parboiling our potatoes so that it will take less time cooking in the oven. And another trick that I also did was I went ahead and pre-sliced my onions and my potatoes the night before. But just remember that if you decide to use potatoes in a dish and you want to go ahead and use the potatoes for your next day's meal, make sure that you soak them in water overnight in the refrigerator, and that will prevent your potatoes from turning. But you just have to make sure that you have enough water on top of your potatoes to prevent them from turning. So now I want to go ahead and show you. I have made a nice layer of potatoes on the top. And next, what you will see me do is I'm going to push my casserole back so that you'll be able to see. I am placing my garlic powder and pepper and salt into the soup, and I'm just going to go ahead and stir that so that it is nice and mixed. And I'm going to use the soup as a gravy for the casserole. So that is done. So the next step is placing your onions over your potatoes. And again, my family love baked onions and fried onions. So we're going to go ahead and make sure that we have a nice even coat of onions on the top. I'm going to add a few more. And I'll let you see. We have a layer of potatoes on top of the pork chops. In addition, a layer of onions. So now you will see me put cheese on top of the onions. And I'm just sprinkling the cheese over top. And next, you will see me add just tablespoons of soup over top of the cheese. And then we will be adding another layer of potatoes on top. There we go. And I am just going to try to thin the soup out slightly using another tablespoon that I had beside of me. Okay, so now I'll let you see what it looks like. I've just smoothed the soup over the top. And now you will see me add my last layer of potatoes to the top of my casserole. And again, this is a very simple and easy dish, and I'm sure that your family will love the casserole that you're making. And we are almost done. And again, I've preheated my oven to 400 degrees, and we will be covering our casserole with tin foil so that we know that it is going to cook in the oven nice and even. Just making sure I get all of our potatoes out of our colander that I'm using today. And I'm just making sure that I'm getting all the potatoes evenly distributed over the top of the casserole. So there we have our casserole is coming together nicely. And now you will see me go ahead and add the last layer of onions. And we're just going to go ahead and put our cheese on top. And then I'll add that one last layer of soup to the very top of your casserole. And again, I'm just going to spoon it on the top. And we will be covering the casserole with our tin foil. And you will be baking your casserole for an hour or until your casserole is bubbly and your potatoes are nice and cooked. And remember that we did parboil your potatoes, so it will take less cooking time, because in scalloped potatoes that I have made in another video, it will take quite a while to cook in the oven. Well, you want to make sure that everything is cooked. And I'm just going to go ahead and spread my soup evenly over the top of the casserole. And there we have it. We are ready to place it in the oven. I just have to cover it with tin foil, and I'll show you what it looks like here in a few minutes when we get it out of the oven. The casserole is done and we are ready to eat. I hope that your family enjoy this recipe as much as mine will. I'm just going to go ahead and tilt the casserole forward a little bit so you can actually see what it looks like. And here in a few minutes, I'm going to go ahead and serve a plate of casserole, so I'll be back in just a few minutes. The pork chop potato casserole is ready to eat. I hope that your family enjoys this recipe as much as mine will. Enjoy!